I'm gonna fight 'em all. A 7-nation army couldn't hold me back.
Monday, there is a rally and a state of emergency declared in the state of Virginia by Governor Northam Leghorn. Governor Northam, you see, in November, the entire government, the entire state legislature, everything turned over to Democrat. All of them want to take the guns away from everyone. So people in Virginia are basically up in arms, and they've declared sanctuary cities where guns are allowed. And I would say almost 100% of the state wants to keep their guns. But this gun ban, this is going to take guns away from everyone. And this is how they do things. You do a little sample test. How do we do it if we take the guns away from everybody in one state? If that works out, then that model is followed right across the country. You know that the Democrats want to take the guns away. Now, he's saying, remember Charlottesville. This is going to be another Charlottesville where those people who are for Trump are going to come and commit some sort of violence. Now, this is the guy, Governor Northam Leghorn. He's the guy who succeeded Terry McAuliffe. Governor McAuliffe, good friend of Hillary Clinton. And on July 7th of 2016, he changed the law, how you vote, or how you register to vote. He declared that you didn't have to check the box proving that you're a citizen or that you're not, and if you're not a felon. You got to prove you're not a felon either. And the ballots or the registration went through electronically versus in person. He did this so he figured that give Hillary the election. And it did. It gave Hillary the state of Virginia, didn't it? The state of Virginia is an interesting makeup. Part of it is going Democrat up to the northeast, because there's a spillover from Washington, D.C., but there's about 8 million that are illegal immigrants, refugees, people that Obama brought in from Africa. So that's about 8 million people, okay? And there were about 200,000 felons that were free that technically got their right to vote back, even if you were a violent felon or if you were a sex offender. What happened was technically, they don't have to be labeled a violent offender or a sex offender anymore because of this sweeping change in the voter registration. Used to be that if you're a sex offender, you have to notify the neighborhood that you're living there, and a violent offender definitely shouldn't have a gun, right? So he made the sweeping change and gave them all their rights back. And interesting, she won by 200,000 votes. So this Governor Northam, he ran for the governorship, or he was governor. And he's the one with the ad, with a guy in the MAGA truck. And he sees a group of diverse children, Mexican boy and African American and a girl in a hijab, and he guns the engine as if he's going to plow them over. And then you see the little girl waking up in the middle of the night, scared, because she remembers this happening and her mother's consoling her. It was the most racist ad I've ever seen. And anybody, I can't imagine anybody would have voted for this man after seeing that ad. But after Charlottesville, what happened in Charlottesville, we found out later that the organizers of Charlottesville were Obama and Hillary supporters. And there were people there that were for the statues and people there that were against the statues. And then there were people there that were white supremacists and neo-Nazis. And this is the speech where Trump prefaces his speech by saying that the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists, KKK, bad, very bad people. These are bad people. But he said there were some people on both sides. Some people who wanted to keep the statues up and some people who wanted to take the statues down. There were good people in those groups. There were people obviously who wanted to tear the statues down. They don't want to honor Confederate soldiers. I understand that. You don't want to honor the Democrats who wanted to keep slavery in the South when Thomas Jefferson said that it was an evil that needed to be, had no place in America, you see. But Mayor Pete doesn't remember that. He thinks that our founding fathers thought that slavery was okay. Then we didn't find any ill with it. See, that's the problem with people who are supposedly say, oh, this person's really smart. They went to Oxford. They're just as brilliant. So whatever comes out of their mouth, just like Obama, has to be the truth. But you have to know that sometimes the smarter they are, the more deceitful they are. And just because you're smart doesn't mean you know history, doesn't mean you know anything about American history. You just make up what you think is true and you present it to your audience and they believe you because you're smart. When he didn't realize that it was the Democrat South, the Democrats that wanted to keep slavery. Thomas Jefferson, they decided to phase over 20-year time. We'll give you 20 years to get rid of slavery, free the slaves. That's more than enough time. And you need to start doing it immediately. Well, they didn't do it. That's why we had a war where we fought against each other. This country fought against itself to end slavery to a tune of about 700,000 people dying in the most horrible way. Well, there's some people who wanted the statues up so they can say, what is this, Mommy? Who is this person? And she can tell you, she or your father can tell you, what history, what these men did, why these statues were up. That way, history doesn't repeat itself. But also, having these statues, you know why the Democrats want these statues down, because they were all Democrats. It makes them look bad, but it makes them look good if they say, we're the ones who took the statues down, but they are the ones that put the statues up. Why this party still exists, I do not know. So there are those people who, and there are some people who might think that those men are heroes. Well, I don't think so. But there's some people for certain reasons, good people within those groups and good people who think we don't agree with, that want those statues taken down. And some want them left up. So Governor Northam, the Democrat Party is the party of the KKK, is the party of Jim Crow, is the party that inspired Hitler. See, Hitler, I find it interesting. The neo-Nazis in these groups either are completely ignorant about what the Nazis did, and it says that the FBI have found that there are neo-Nazis ready to cause violence on Monday. Well, either these are not really Nazis, or they don't know anything about the Nazis. Now, the Nazis, like the communists, they're all socialists. National Socialist Workers' Party, that's what Nazi means. Soviet Union was United Soviet Socialist Republic. Right? They're all socialists. Now, the first thing Hitler did was take the guns away from everyone. Digest that for a moment. Oh, I had somebody commenter on a video I did a while back, and I sent him a PDF file. He said, once you said that Hitler took the guns away, I shut your video off. And apparently he doesn't know history. You see, what you do, which a socialist system does, communism, socialism, same thing, Nazis, they all take the guns away from the people. That's how the people become prisoners in their own country. And the only people who have the guns is the state. The security detail, Governor Northam's security detail, they all have guns, see, to protect him. The people of Virginia want to protect themselves. That's why they want to keep their guns. See, if there was a problem, they'd be shooting up around and they'd be riding through the streets in their jalopies and shooting in the air like Yosemite Sam. And they're not doing that. They're responsible gun owners. That's not happening. See, Democrat Party, socialists and the Democrats are the same thing. Nazis, they were called right-wing, but over there, right-wing actually meant left-wing, and left-wing meant right-wing. So the first thing he did was take the guns away. That's the reason why he could round up all these people and send them to concentration camps to kill them. If they were armed, World War II may have never happened. There may have all those, was it 9 million people who died? Or 11 million? 9 million Jews and 11 million total in the concentration camps. Well, if they had their guns, if the Nazis didn't round up their guns, they wouldn't have been in those concentration camps. That's what they do. Now, Hitler and the KKK and Governor Northam, who stood next to the KKK member, very proud. These Democrats are very proud of their history. And you think in medical school, they'd be mature, and he's going to be a doctor for children. He's going to be a pediatrician, for God's sakes. Well, why would you be appearing next to a KKK member and be in blackface and then admit that you're in blackface twice? And then the Attorney General of Virginia also admitted he was in blackface more than once. And the Lieutenant Governor raped a couple of women. So now the entire legislature, everything is Democrat, and they want to take all the guns away. So these people who appear in blackface, and if Trump appeared in blackface, you would crucify him and then set him on fire. So he would burn slowly and have the longest, most painful death possible. But these guys got away with it because they're Democrats. And then the school officially announced, no, that man in blackface, he's not Governor Northam. No, it isn't. Really? He admitted it. He admitted it. So, this is what the KKK, the Democrats, have got in common with Hitler. And the papers have recently been released. We found papers by the Nazis. They wrote everything down. And apparently Hitler got wind of Jim Crow laws. And Jim Crow laws were meant to control a certain segment of the population. Anyone who is a former slave, descendant of slaves, or somebody who is considered black, not Mexicans, according to the law of America, they were white and up until 1980. And as many of them that wanted to immigrate to America could, providing you submit your papers and you're not a criminal and you're going to come here to work and all that stuff. But the people of Europe, there was a quota for every country. And the lower you got in Europe, the darker skin you got, actually the less. Like if you were an Italian or Greek, the quota each year was less. So in the South, the same thing. They considered Italians were half black. They called them coons after raccoons. So they were also considered black. And if you were Greek, you were considered half black. You were considered black. Hitler heard, how did you impose these laws? And they said, well, we've got the one-drop rule. If you have one drop of black blood, you're black. And he said, ooh, that's going... Hitler actually said, according to this documented evidence, that's going way too far. If you have 3 Jewish grandparents, 3, that makes you Jewish. Hitler actually sounds more reasonable than the Democrats of the South. So the Democrats and Hitler have something in common. They want to take the guns away, all the Democrats. And Hitler took all the guns away. And Condoleezza Rice was on The View, and they respected her. They let her talk. She said when she was a child, her father had a shotgun. And when they heard the night riders, the riders in white coming, the KKK, the Democrats, she's a Republican. The reason why she's a Republican is because the Democrats are the KKK, party of segregation. And now it's interesting that African Americans are segregating themselves from the whites. They're actually... with all this progressiveness and the Democrat influence, the Democrat Socialist influence, has over the years convinced the black people to self-segregate. Ooh, this is a racist country. All these whites are so racist. You should have dorms that are only all black. Now, wouldn't the KKK just love that? They just hate these laws where there was forced intermingling of the blacks and the whites. They just hated it. And Orville Favas, he stood in the doorway, and Eisenhower to send the National Guard out to get him out of there so the black students can mix with the white students. Orville Favas was a mentor of Al Gore and Bill Clinton, by the way, of both Democrats. So, it makes sense. See, these two things, why the Democrats are taking the guns away. See, these Nazis, I don't know if they really are Nazis or they're just ignorant Nazis. But we do have ignorant Democrats and ignorant socialists. We've heard recently people who work for Bernie Sanders, remember who was a Bernie Sanders supporter that wanted to shoot up the entire Republican softball team, and Steve Scalise got the brunt of it and almost died. It's a Bernie supporter. That they said that if Bernie isn't nominated or elected, they were going to start burning down buildings and riots and killing people because they think the gulags were good. The gulags in Russia were good. Those re-education camps. And Bernie said that all the billionaires should be put into re-education camps, and gulags had conjugal visits. So the people who are following the socialists our socialist candidates, don't even know the truth about the Gulag. They don't know the truth about communism. And they're terribly violent. And they have this completely different idea. See, the Democrats have no idea the reason why we are able to have the Second Amendment, so we can protect ourselves. That if somebody has an illegal gun and starts shooting up, somebody who is trained, who's licensed to carry a gun, can take them out. Unless, of course, the Democrats want them to just go off and be free. You see, you hate guns. See, now I'm really getting confused. I just thought of something. You hate guns because people are criminals and they shoot with the guns and it's violence. But it's in California and de Blasio, they've got this new rule. You commit a crime, you don't even have to pay a cash bill. You're let go free, and they give you a coupon so you can go get food or something. They let you go, then you commit another crime, you come back in, you get another coupon, you get let go because you don't have to pay the bill. It seems like what do guns do? Well, usually criminals have guns, especially people who traffic drugs. People who traffic drugs over the border have guns. The cartels all have guns. And so the guns come over the border. And see, those people are criminals because they're selling us drugs that are killing at least 80,000 Americans a year and destroying the lives of families. But so you want the guns taken away from people who are legal gun owners that know how to properly use a gun safely and take it apart and put it away. But you will let criminals go free who've committed crimes. And usually, the thing really doesn't work. Because if you care about minorities, let's say there's the whites that commit the crime, we'll take the segment of whites out, you can put those in jail. Okay, so you got the minorities who the Democrats care about, and Governor Northam cares about. They commit a crime, they're given a coupon, they're let go, they can commit another crime. Usually, people who, when they commit a crime, like whites, it's more like white on white crime, black on black crime. Usually the community you live in, that's where you commit the crime. So the people you're letting go are going to go commit a crime and hurt. If you care about the minorities, they will commit a crime against the community, the minority community where they live. So this does not help the minorities. And you're throwing a fit. That's all you're doing is throwing a fit. The Democrats are throwing a fit and trying to remove the president that has been the best president to minorities and women in history, the highest number of jobs, lowest unemployment, so they can have intact families, and intact families usually produce a child that doesn't go out and become a criminal, commit a crime. So that's not hurting themselves or anyone else. But you and de Blasio are letting them go with a coupon. So I'm afraid, because that whole Charlotte's thing, of course you edited the tape and you removed the part where Trump said that the KKK and neo-Nazis, those people are bad, white supremacists are bad, but there are good people on both sides, meaning the people who want to take the statues down and the people who want to leave the statues up. because they had different reasons for wanting the statues up and down. But if you you want to take all the statues down because they are all Democrats. You don't want anybody to say, yes, Johnny, this is a statue of a Democrat that wanted to keep slavery. Yes, all of these statues are Democrats that fought against the North because they wanted to keep slavery. And Thomas Jefferson and the Founding Fathers wanted to get rid of slavery and within 20 years' time eradicate it from this country because they said it doesn't belong in this country. But these Democrats wanted to keep it up. So I'm afraid that Monday there may be the violence may be staged. Either these neo-Nazis should really be Democrats because Hitler took the guns away, and that's what they're doing in Virginia. They're going to eradicate the Second Amendment. They're going to prove some kind of violence is going to break out, and then they'll say, you see, people who own guns, this could happen all over the country. The gun owners are going to be, you don't want gangs in the streets and militias that are going to be fighting against the government. Oh, the government, the only people that are allowed to have guns because it's the state. So everything for the state. The state is above everything. That's the way it is in Nazi Germany. That's the way it is in communism. Your religion must be below. That's why in communism they remove religion altogether. Nazi, as long as you put God second, your religion second, as long as you put the Nazi Party first. People who didn't put the Democrat Party first, like the white Republicans who want to repeal slavery, those are the ones, the 1/3 were lynched in the South. 1/3 of that were white Republicans that wanted to eradicate slavery, who were against the KKK and Jim Crow laws. Okay, up to the year 1968. And of course, we had somebody in the Grand Exalted Cyclops of the KKK was a Democrat who died in 2011, who Obama put his bronze statue up in the Capitol Rotunda. No, I will not stop saying this until everyone knows this. The highest place of honor in this country. He was Hillary Clinton's mentor. Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, yes, our first black president, his father comes from Africa, not descendant of slaves, eulogized him, and Obama put his statue up. So if you wonder who are the racists, Governor Northam, oh, and there's that little thing about eugenics. Governor Northam is the one that said when they were talking about if a baby from a botched abortion is born alive, or the mother just decides, I don't want this baby, I wish I had aborted it, I want that baby to die. He said, well, we're just going to leave the baby on trade, make the baby nice and comfortable. And the mother and the doctor are going to go over in the corner over there. They're going to have a chit-chat. And they're going to come back and decide whether the mother wants the baby to live or die. Even though the baby's no longer a part of her body, it's on the tray, completely separate. You see, eugenics started in this country. Planned Parenthood and abortion started in this country. The whole eugenics thing, Hitler also took that from the Democrats. Margaret Sanger was a KKK member. Margaret Sanger is the one who started Planned Parenthood and put it strategically in all the minority cities where there was a lot of black people, a lot of minorities, a lot of poor whites too. You see, Margaret Sanger, the KKK, they're wealthy. They hated poor whites. So even the poor whites, they were encouraging to have abortions because they wanted to eliminate, just like the disabled people, they want to eliminate them from the population and only have the people like them, the real white supremacists, the Democrats. And Margaret Sanger, remember Hillary said, she is my mentor, and she got a Margaret Sanger Award. Margaret Sanger, KKK, wanted to eradicate the poor blacks, descendant of slaves, the poor Hispanics, anybody who was minority, the poor whites. She wanted to eradicate them. That's eugenics. You eradicate people. And then you cull the population off. And you have only the nice white supremacist Democrats. See? Democrats. See, at that time, you see, black people former slaves were all Republican. And anybody who remembered it was Republican. But it was FDR that moved the poor people and the blacks over to the Democrat Party because he let the Depression last so long that people got disillusioned with capitalism, and they embraced the state because the state provided jobs. So very reluctantly, these people came over to the Democrat Party. And FDR appointed the first open member of the KKK to the Supreme Court, and to get them to sign the New Deal, those jobs from the state, he told the Democrats that he would not make lynching against the law. Keep that going. So they'd sign the New Deal because we gotta implement socialism. There you go. So you see how everything ties together. I always teach you history because little things that are happening, people who are completely ignorant of the fact that Hitler and the communists took the guns away. That's the first thing they do. That's what the Democrats are doing. And you see, if Trump was Hitler, he would have guns all over the place, his own militia around him. And he would take all these people that are opposing him and fighting against him. He's the supreme leader. He would put them all in jail or take them out and do what Hitler did to them. That's if he was Hitler. That's what he would do. He's following the law. He's not doing that. He wouldn't do it. He doesn't want to do it. He's not Hitler. But you are throwing a fit. You're trying to throw him out of office, and you want to instill the policies of Adolf Hitler and the communist regimes, which killed off mass amounts of their unwanted populations, like the elderly, the sick, the disabled, the people who were against communism, socialism, Nazism. You eradicated them. That's the party that is taking over our government right now. So I do not know what's going to happen on Monday. I suspect it's very possible there's going to be a staged event, because these gun owners want to prove to you, they're being told that they're criminals. But the Democrats like criminals. It confuses me. It really confuses me. They want to show you they're responsible gun owners, and they want to keep their rights because they want to be able to protect themselves. But it is the governor, it's the legislature. You've got it all run by Democrats now. It's almost like their election was rigged. So you do this. It's very interesting. And the guy and the people running the show are seen in blackface and with people dressed like KKK members. And really, this is the guy. Now, the people who are going to be marching with those guns are there to show you that they want to keep their rights and they're responsible gun owners. If violence breaks out, if somebody goes to shoot at them with a gun, or looks like somebody's pulling out a gun to massacre some people, they will pull out their gun to protect their lives. And what's going to happen is Governor Northam and the Democrats are going to say, see, the gun owners are pulling out their guns and shooting these people, when we might not hear the truth. We might not see the footage of what really happened and who shot who started shooting first. I'm actually now people ask, why can't Trump do something about this? Well, anytime Trump starts to do something, there's some lower court judge that puts a stop to it. He, as the leader of the free world, is not as powerful as a lower court unelected judge. There's something wrong with this. And we have a law in this country that if the state needs help, they have to ask for the president to come in. The state is like its own country. They have to, if the president wants to send help, they have to be invited in to bring the help. He could make an executive order, try to go in, but then a lower court judge will stop him. So his hands are kind of tied on this one. And you're going to have to blame the Democrats and these judges that are legislating from the bench, most of them appointed by Obama, that hate him. And they're fighting everything that he's doing. This is insane. So what's going to happen on Monday? I don't know. I say a prayer. People who go to that, I know you're going to be as peaceful and law-abiding as possible. And if somebody pulls out a gun and tries to shoot you or a bunch of other people, and then you try to protect yourself or then, I'm afraid. I'm trying to think of a good solution. The only solution is to not have that rally and appeal directly to the president and see what he can do. Put this in his hands, because they're only going to twist it and they're going to send people in. They're going to start shooting up to make it look like you did it. You know this is going to happen. This is the foresight, okay? Vaya con Dios. Go with God. And appeal to the president and see if he can figure out an answer. He's extremely smart, by the way.